Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tom Clark over at TFCIV MMA. It's been 3 long years, but we can finally say it. It is John Bones Jones Fight Week. Let's go. I know you guys are just as excited as I am. This has been a long time coming. We have all been waiting for this one. The GOAT of MMA returns, goes up a weight class to try and claim heavyweight gold. He's already the GOAT, but if he can do this silences all the haters. This shuts everybody up, and it's going to be a great fight. He's got a real tough opponent in Cyril Gane ahead of him. Cyril, one of the most technical strikers the heavyweight division has ever seen, and just a massive, very athletic human being. So it's going to be interesting to see how John handles the test. But the main card's stacked. The prelims are stacked. The early prelims are stacked. We're in for a great night of fights. I leave for Vegas early tomorrow morning. I'm going to have to leave the house at probably 2:30, but boy, is it worth it, guys. I am counting down the hours at this point to touch down in Vegas and catch these fights, because we're going to see some history being made March 4th in the T-Mobile Arena, and I cannot wait. We start off on the early prelims. They're looking pretty good. Starts off with Esteban Ribovitz versus Loik Radzhabov. Obviously, Ribovitz is coming off a win in the Dana White Contender Series. He is the heavy underdog in this one, coming in about plus 225 versus his opponent with a win in Eagle FC, also making his UFC debut. So two guys kind of unknown to most of us fans here of UFC. I've tried to watch Eagle FC, wasn't too hot on it, so can't say I've seen either of them perform. I think I do remember seeing Esteban on the Contender Series, but I'm not too familiar with the fight. But his opponent, Radzhabov, is coming in about a minus 285, and give me the favorite at that point. On fights where I'll admit I'm not the most informed on him, I got to go with the favorite, especially when he's that heavy on it. So give me Loik Radzhabov on that one. As we go to the next one, we have Farid Basharat, obviously the younger brother of the other Basharat, climbing up the rankings right now. Coming off a dominant win on the Contender Series, he comes in as a minus 500 favorite against Damon Blackshear, who obviously in the UFC for one fight, it was a draw. He comes in at a heavy underdog at plus 350. The Basharat brothers are both very good, and I'm going to go with Farid on this one. Coming off a dominant win on the Contender Series and coming in here as a big favorite, you can see the bookmakers are as confident in him as I am, so I'm picking him to get the win, most likely inside the distance as well. So that should be a pretty good one there. As we go to the next one of the women's fights here on the early prelims, we got Jessica Penne versus Tabitha Ricci. Obviously, Penne's coming off a loss against Emily Ducati and had 2 wins before that, though. Tabitha Ricci obviously coming off 2 straight wins, but did have the loss against Manon Fior. Ricci comes in at minus 310. Obviously, the youth is on her side on this one. And with her jiu-jitsu and grappling skills at minus 310, give me Tabitha Ricci for that fight. But very excited, should be a good one. And like I said, these early prelims are pretty stacked, guys. So we're lucky with an overall great card from start to finish. So very happy there. Next one, should I say, one of my favorite younger prospects, Cameron Simon versus Mana Martinez. Cameron Simon had his UFC debut back in December. As you guys know, he's a training partner of DDP, Dricus du Plessis, who's also fighting on this card. On the standard prelims. So he's fighting with his teammate again on this card. He comes in at minus 310 versus Mana Martinez, coming in who's at bound plus 240 or so. Mana's 2-1 in the UFC, but Cameron had a good win his UFC debut against Kozlov. And there was the point deduction in this one. He knew he probably needed to finish it to get the win for sure, and he went out there in the later rounds and finished the fight. So I'm very confident in Cameron Simon in this fight, and at 310, I am all over that. So book that one, Cameron Simon, one of my locks of the night actually there. As we go into the feature bout on the early prelims, we got my guy, the undefeated Irishman, Ian Gary. I got to meet Ian briefly back in UFC 273 in Jacksonville. One of the coolest, most down-to-earth people you'll ever meet. His family, actually got to meet them fight day and the day after, both super cool as well. And Ian, obviously, undefeated as a total and undefeated in the UFC with some good performances. He hasn't looked the best when it comes to finishing fights as of late, but he's had some good wins, so can't complain there. He does come in at minus 800 versus his opponent, Kenan Song, who isn't all that bad record-wise in the UFC. He did lose his last fight to Max Griffin all the way back in 2021, so there has been some inactivity there, and I think that could play in to why he's a plus 525 in this fight. But even if he was a plus 100, I'm still taking Ian Gary. I don't see Ian Gary losing to this level of competition. I think it's going to take someone higher up to give him his first loss, if at all. So give me Ian Gary, and I do think he gets this one done inside the distance this time. So very excited for that one, guys. Like I said, big Ian Gary fan here. Can't lie, and that's a great way to close off the early prelims. As we go to the traditional prelims, we got another banger of a fight. We have Julian Marquez versus Marc-Andre Baralt. Marquez coming in about a plus 125, with Baralt coming in about a minus 150. As we all remember, Julian Marquez was on a nice little path there with the wins, but he did run into Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez. RoboCop got the job done. Baralt comes in as the favorite here when overall his record in the UFC hasn't been too good, and he is coming off a loss against Fluffy Hernandez. So, at plus odds, plus 125, I know his grappling is a concern for a lot of people. He has been out-grappled in the past, but at plus 125, give me Julian Marquez there. And another great women's fight on the prelims here, two ranked girls who have fought some of the better in the division at 125. Vivian Araujo coming off a loss against Alexa Grasso versus Amanda Ribas coming off a loss against Caitlin Chookagian. Ribas comes in as the slight favorite at minus 120, with Araujo coming in about a plus 102 on the book I'm seeing. And both these guys, like I said, losses against very tough competition. Both very skilled. Araujo is obviously quite a bit older. She's at 36. Amanda Ribas is only 29. And when you have two ranked girls like this higher up, I hate to say it, but I got to go with the youthful one on this one. And at only minus 120, give me Amanda Ribas there. Lock that one in 100%. Next fight. The fact that this fight isn't on the main card kind of pisses me off, to be honest. You could tell in his interview today at Media Day, DDP wasn't too happy with it either. Seemed kind of disrespected by putting Bo Nickel on the main card when he achieved all these great things in wrestling, but he hasn't really done it yet in the UFC, unfortunately, which is tough. So, you can see why DDP was a little upset there. Derek Brunson obviously did lose to Jared Cannonier's last time out, but before that had been looking very good, had a big win streak with names such as Edmund Shabazian, names such as Darren Till, all these guys. Derek Brunson was kind of making it look easy after a certain point in time, which was kind of nuts. It was a late career resurgence. He's an older guy. But DDP does come in as the favorite in this one at minus 230, obviously undefeated in the UFC. His last loss was years ago when he was fighting in another promotion. And Derek Brunson comes in about a plus 185. So, I hate to go against Derek because his wrestling is dominant, and I think that could be an issue. DDP hasn't had many people shoot on him and try to grapple him out. So I just want to make it very clear. If Derek Brunson comes out, puts on a wrestling session, and beats him, I would not be surprised at all. He's that good. He was dominating Jared Cannonier in the first round of their fight. But Dricus du Plessis, much younger, big, strong middleweight. I mean, we've seen the guy. He's jacked, and he just put a beating on Darren Till. As much as I love Darren, and the cardio was a little bit of a concern because you do see he somewhat fades in the second round of the Till fight and allows Till to kind of piece him up a little bit. But at minus 230, give me the younger, youthful guy at Dricus du Plessis. And I could see it in, if he's going to win, I do see it being inside the distance. I see him putting out Derek Brunson, probably by TKO or flush knockout. I hate to say it because I love Brunson. I love Blonde Brunson. I love the pose. But give me DDP on this one. And for the feature bout on the prelims, right before the main card, we got Cody No Love Garbrandt making his return to the bantamweight division versus Trevin Jones. Cody has obviously fallen on some very hard times as of late, and I know it's tough to hold it against him because it has been against top-level competition, but still losses, still brutal losses. Trevin Jones, though, same thing. I think he's coming off, I believe it's 3 losses as well, and the odds are very close in this one. Garbrandt's a minus 175, Trevin's a plus 145. Trevin has shown a chin, though, which does lead me to believe if Cody goes out there with the same poor fight IQ that's lost him a lot of his recent fights, he's not going to win. But he did say this media day there was a lot weighing in on him before his last fight. I believe he said divorce, selling his house, all this the week before the fight. I can't stand Cody Garbrandt because you guys know I'm such a big TJ Dillashaw fan, but that's not something I would wish on my worst enemy. So I do feel for Cody there, but at plus money, give me Trevin Jones. I mean, Cody Garbrandt should not be a favorite in any fight anymore, only because the chin is such an issue. I do think Jones is a much better matchup for him than Julio Arce. I really think Julio would have put Cody out cold pretty early, but even then, at plus money, at plus 145, give me Trevin Jones, please, and thank you. And here we go. Like I said, been 3 long years, but we're going into the main card, headlined by John Jones, Cyril Gane for the undisputed heavyweight championship. Valentina Shevchenko defends her belt against Alexa Grasso. But we start off with two more a little unknown guys to a lot of the MMA fans. We have Jamie Pickett versus Bo Nickel. Obviously, Jamie Pickett coming off a loss, coming off, I believe, a couple of losses, hasn't looked the best. And Bo Nickel, the wrestling phenom, one of the greatest collegiate wrestlers of all time, at Penn State, as we all know, one of the greatest college wrestling programs of all time there, and he was some of the best, was coached by guys like Cael Sanderson. And you see it. His grappling is very dominant. But he also showed some great submission skill. He's training down at American Top Team with Mike Brown and all those guys, and he's looked very good. That's what leads the odds makers to make him a minus 2,000 in his UFC debut. That blows my mind. Like, that's wild to me. I mean, Khamzat Chimaev wasn't even a minus 2,000 against Kevin Holland. But Jamie Pickett comes in at a plus 900, and I hate to say it because Jamie Pickett really does seem like an awesome guy. His story about coming into MMA is truly inspiring, but I think Bo knows and is on to something here. So give me Bo Nickel. I minus 2,000 is too heavy to even put him in a parlay, so don't bet on this fight. If you are, you got to do Bo Nickel in round 1. I believe that's around a minus 190, and all of Bo's wins have been very early stoppages, so there's a big chance that one hits as well. But I wouldn't recommend betting on that fight at all at minus 2,000 odds on Bo Nickel. The next fight, I made a Twitter post a couple weeks ago. I said very rarely is a replacement fight better than the original. Very rarely do we get 2 and 2 in one day. We got Ode Osborne versus Charles Johnson, and on that same day, it was revealed that Dan Hooker was out of his fight with Jalen Turner, and Mateusz Gamrot was stepping in, and oh my goodness, talk about some dedication from Turner and Gamrot. Turner is taking a totally different matchup than what he was originally booked for. Taking a lot of risk going from a guy in Dan Hooker who is going to strike with him versus a guy in Mateusz Gamrot who we know what his game plan is. Go out, get it to the ground. His offensive wrestling is phenomenal. His scrambles are phenomenal. But Jalen Turner's a bad man. A lot of great submissions, a lot of power in his hands. Got one of the craziest reaches you will ever see in the lightweight division. I mean, he is huge for 155. Gamrot does come in at about a minus 210, and Turner at about a plus 175 from what I saw in my book. And that is mainly due to the grappling advantages that Gamrot holds. Probably also the level of competition. Jalen Turner's fought some killers, but Mateusz Gamrot, although he is coming off a loss against Beneil Dariush, had the controversial win over Arman Tsarukyan, had the win over Jeremy Stevens, so he's fought some killers. And at minus 210, I hate to say it because I love the Tarantula, I love Jalen Turner, and I'm going to mention Steamroller, another guy I love. But Steamroller was able to really control Jalen Turner on the ground and get the win over him, and I think Mateusz Gamrot does something similar to that. Gets him down, controls him. I don't know if he submits him. Those long arms are going to be tough to get a hold on, but give me Mateusz Gamrot at minus 210. And the next one, we talked about Bo being a phenom. We have Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Geoff Neal. Shavkat, another one of those phenoms. He gets linked to Khamzat Chimaev a lot because they're both welterweights from Europe and are big, scary guys that are dominating everyone. Shavkat is 16-0 with all finishes. He has been very dominant. But Geoff Neal kind of had a career renaissance performance his last time out where he pieced up Vicente Luque. And that was a fight where Luque had been on quite the run as of late going into that fight. He did have the loss to Muhammad, but it was close. So people were expecting him to go in there and beat Geoff Neal. But Geoff Neal put it on him. Amazing punch combinations. The uppercuts were killer. Everything about it. And he knocked out Vicente Luque. And that's saying something. So, At plus 365, Neal is very enticing, but I can't bet against Shavkat. I cannot pick against Shavkat. It's just, if I'm a bettor, which I am, I will toss money on Jeff Neal. Let's put that out there. Let's make it clear. Will I sprinkle money on Jeff Neal? 100%. Will I pick against Shavkat Rakhmonov? I can't until I'm proven otherwise. I always say it with these kind of phenom guys. Until they give me a reason why I can't pick against them, I won't. And we haven't seen that yet. He dominated Neil Magny his last time out. And Neil Magny, I hate to use MMA math because it doesn't work. It's not reliable. But Neil Magny did beat Jeff Neal. But like I said, I will be sprinkling money off Neal, but my official pick, Shavkat Rakhmonov there. Championship fight, first of the night, Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso for UFC Women's Flyweight Gold. Val coming in about a minus 900, Grasso coming in about a plus 550. Val's always a heavy favorite, but we did see her last fight out. She looked human. A lot of people scored that fight against her. They scored it for Talia Santos. So it's going to be interesting to see mentally where she's at after a performance like that. But unfortunately, I don't think Grasso has those same tools that Talia Santos does that gave Val trouble. Talia Santos is a great grappler, was able to get to the ground. And don't get me wrong, Grasso's boxing is very crisp, and her grappling's not bad either. But, like I said, I can't pick against them until they give me a reason to pick against them. And at 125, I cannot pick against Valentina Shevchenko. The only woman that would give me any second guessing would be Erin Blanchfield, and she's not fighting Val right now. So, at minus 900, another one I'm not betting on because it's too steep of a price, but give me Valentina Shevchenko, official pick. And you guys do not know how excited this makes me. I know I've already said it 2 or 3 times, but we're now breaking down Jon Jones, Ciryl Gane Heavyweight Championship, the main event of the night. Jon coming in about a minus 170, Ciryl at plus 140. At the start, when these odds initially came out, Ciryl was actually the favorite. I got Jon Jones at even money months ago. I put some bets on it. So I'm hoping those tickets cash on Saturday, and I do think they will. I love Ciryl. He's very entertaining. His footwork is flawless. His striking is flawless. But you cannot get out-wrestled and out-grappled by Francis Ngannou on 2 bad knees and expect me to pick you against the GOAT, Jon Bones Jones. I know a lot of people are getting on him for being away for 3 years. I know a lot of people were getting on him for 3 kind of lackluster performances. Smith was dominant, but it was lackluster. Santos, he definitely won the fight, but it was lackluster. Reyes, a lot of people thought Reyes beat him. It was a very close fight. And I think to beat the champ, you got to really beat him, and I don't think Reyes did that because Jon came on late, so I had no issue with the decision, but I'd be a liar if I said it wasn't a very close fight that really could have gone either way. So a lot of people are hesitant to see how Jon does at heavyweight, but I've said it before, I've said it again. Jon Jones has the tendency to fight to the level of his competition. We've seen it. Whenever he fought, all of those fights that should have been easy for him, we saw it in the OSP fight as well. One of his easier fights, he still 50-45'd him, but it was very lackluster. But I do think after 3 years off, Jon's got that healthy fear back. He's not going to be playing with his food like he was at the end of his light heavyweight reign. So, at minus 170, give me Jon Bones Jones. Let's go, guys. I can't wait. I'm going to be releasing a lot of content on YouTube in my time out there. I'm staying at the Fighter Hotel, so I should be able to meet a lot of these guys. So I'm very excited, and I'll keep you guys in the loop all throughout the week. And let's just hope for an awesome night of fights. This card is stacked, so there's no question that it should deliver, and I really look forward to watching it with you guys and breaking it down with you that next Sunday. Probably be later because I fly home on Sunday and I'm not going to be making no videos on the plane. All the people in the rows behind me would kill me. Hey, you're too loud. We don't care about MMA. But I can't wait, guys. It's an awesome card, and I'll talk to you guys on Sunday.